An awning that needs no introduction. The Rally model has become an iconic shape that has been so well received by both caravan and motorhomers for over a decade. Dometic acquired the camper brand over 5 years ago, and they've just fine-tuned what was a great model and made it even better. This is the latest edition, the Rally AIR Tour by Dometic. Let's get straight into the review. So, let's talk about why the Rally model is so well loved. And I think the first reason is that it's pretty much universal fitting for any caravan or motorhome. Because there's 4 different sizes in the range, starting from 200, so 2 meters wide, all the way up to the 390 model, 3.9 meters wide, you've got an awning model that will fit pretty much any caravan or motorhome. So that's a big green tick to start with. Secondly is that it comes in 2 different height range options. So we see the S model here, which is for 235 to 265, so any motorhome or caravan within that range. Or you can select the taller M model, which is 265 to 295. So 2 different height options and then 4 different width options. So they all include the 250 deep. So what's great about that is it's a standard 8-foot depth, so it'll fit on any campsite pitch across the UK and Europe. So you've got the peace of mind from that perspective. And I think this 330 model here that we see on the Rally AIR Tour is that perfect sort of blend of space, but you've also got the compactness of the pack size. So only around 26 kg, so very manageable for one person to pitch straight onto the rail. And it means that your actual size of bag is very easy to transport to and from the caravan or motorhome. Now, let's talk about the key change on this Tour series. So what I love is they've completely overhauled the fabric. They've gone away from this Weather Shield Pro fabric that we've seen previously from Dometic, and they've addressed the first main critique of that fabric, and that was fading. So after a number of months of use of the previous awning, you notice that darker colour began to fade. They've addressed it by pitching this awning in this lovely light grey tone. And what they've done is they've completely overhauled the way that they manufacture it. So the fabric is now dope dyed. So that process is a lot more time consuming, but it ensures that the fabric is going to last a test of time because that fibre is dyed the entirety of the way through. So it means because it's got that susceptible to the UV rays, when that fades over time, because the colour is locked the entirety of the way through, it means it's going to look a lot fresher for a lot longer. They've retained the 300 denier, which is really important, so it's super waterproof, super UV resistant, and feels really nice, and it's got a great quality feel. And they've also added this ripstop weave, which is very important for a number of reasons, but because it's a polyester fabric, and it's going to be in around high winds, especially if you're touring on the coast, it means that ripstop really adds that element of strength to the fabric and just makes it really, really durable. So hopefully that's the change of fabric sort of covered, guys. Now we're going to talk about the inflation system. So there's not been a huge amount of change there really. It's stuck to their single point inflation system. So Dometic have really sort of led the market in that area now for over a decade. And we see pumping it up from the one valve, they recommend 9 PSI of pressure. Comes with a manual pump, but you can upgrade it to the electric gale pump. And then we deflate on each of the 3 beams with that deflation tap there. So that releases all the air and allows it to escape really nice and quickly. So we'll see as we get inside. There's also isolation taps. There's slightly tweaks to those. We'll talk about the change on that. But it means the air system is very well integrated and pitches really quickly. Some of the key changes, they've also dropped the coloured guy line. So we saw a lime green colour before. They've now made it more aesthetic, blends into this nice light grey fabric. And they've also, another really nice change is they've dropped the lighter colour at the bottom of the awning to a completely black finish. So that's great where it's going to be around sort of puddles and mud, means it's a lot easier to keep clean. So subtle changes there from the aesthetic. And now let's work our way round to the side. So loads of little features on the side to talk through. We'll start with the first one here. It's a storm strap point. So this awning is obviously designed for touring use, hence the name Rally AIR Tour. And when you're touring, especially on the coast, you're going to be in high wind. So having that peace of mind that you can clip in an optional storm tie-down kit, really important. Next, we're going to talk about the multi-height system. So really clever system that Dometic use. You can see we've got a zip point at the back here that feeds the entirety of the span of the awning. When you're on your campsite, for most caravans, you're going to be between that 235 and 250 height. So you might not need to play around with that zip too much. But if you're on a taller motorhome, what's great is you can release that zip. It allows all that fabric to concertina up, and it means that you've got a lot more height to play with to attach it to your motorhome's wind out awning. So really clever system there. Also great for uneven pitches as well. It's worth mentioning that sometimes you can just release a little bit of fabric on one side if it's uneven, and that allows with the guying process a little bit more and sort of pegging process. As we move our way back, you'll see we've got a dual K-door attachment as well. So what's great with that is you can slide it straight into a caravan 6mm rail, or you can choose the 4mm rail for your wind out awning. So two different options there. Another great quality is the amount of ventilation on this awning. So we see apex ventilations in both of the top corners. And then if I just unzip this doorway here, you can see we've got a lovely mesh panel on this side. And the other side, which will, as we go inside, we'll take a closer look, you can have an entire mesh panel on the opposite side. So with the side panels, just before we go into more detail on those on the inside, you'll see that they are fully interchangeable. So that means if you prefer your doorway on the opposite side, you can switch them over. Or the great benefit is you can zip them out entirely. That gives you that more canopy feel. Or if you need extra sort of storage or sleeping space, you can zip in a tall annex. So loads of customization on the Rally. It is worth noting that if you're looking for even more space, the Grande model might be one to check out. We've done a separate review video on that. But the great benefit of the Grande is that it has got a secondary zip that you can then zip in an extension. So if you feel like you need more space, that might be more of a model for you. But hopefully that's the exterior now covered, guys. Let's go and check out the inside. Okay, so as we take a step inside the Rally AIR Tour now, you can see we've customized the panels a little bit. We've zipped out this side panel, so that gives great access from the side of your caravan or motorhome. And where you guys are, we've slightly tweaked this front panel by adding in a veranda bar. So that means we can drop the fabric to half height. We can include this veranda pole that's sort of a telescopic aluminium pole into these lugging points. That means we have great airflow coming in at this head height level, and then the bottom area is blocked by the panel. So great for preventing your pets from escaping the awning. Really sort of useful accessory. Now, while we're on the topic of these front panels, let's talk about the redesign of the window. So I think it's a really important change. They've dropped the contrasting colour from the old Weather Shield Pro model, from the dark black and the cream. It's now this full grey aesthetic, so it looks a lot more modern, a lot more fresh. And they've also dropped the fabric bar that used to run halfway through the window. So now you get a floor to ceiling, undisturbed view, and a lot more sort of cleaner window design there. So really nice change from Dometic. And while we're on that topic, let's talk about another subtle change, and that's the curtains. So what they've done is they've dropped the cream pattern curtains that we saw on the Weather Shield Pro model. They've gone to this much cleaner light grey cotton, and they've also changed the runner, so it makes it a lot easier to slide that across. So really nice change there from Dometic. Now let's talk about some of the key interior features. First one to note is the dual pitch roof. So very popular feature from Dometic, and it means that it gives you loads of head height in the awning. So you can see, especially towards the back of the awning, you've got unbelievable head height, and then it still maintains that near the front of the awning as well. So it means you're fully maximising the floor space, and a really nice, clever design feature. What I like about the Rally as well is you've got that modern aesthetic on the front. You haven't got a sort of pitching. It means that it looks really fresh and contemporary on the front panels as well. Now let's talk about how we attach this to your caravan or motorhome. So we talked about, obviously it's got the twin beading, so it can go into a C-rail on a caravan or a wind-out awning on a motorhome. Once it's threaded through and then pegged down, let's talk about how we get a nice seal to the van. So you can see we've got the pre-punched holes that run down the side of the fabric. you can use a limpet suction device, press that against the caravan or motorhome. That's going to give you a nice tight seal. As well as that, you can also use the upright pole method in conjunction. So that would sit in this pocket here, press against the foam pads and stick into the ground. And when you use both, it gives you that really nice tight seal. So some other key sort of important, I'd say, additions to your awning on the inside, especially on this rally model, is lighting. So you can see on all of the air beams, we've got these Velcro tabs. So you can slot in these Sabre lightings that you can get connecting to one another. And it means you can really make it a nice well-lit space, especially in the evenings. So really clever addition. You'll notice that you've got them on literally every air beam. Another key point is we've got these white eyelets, so a really popular addition. Because the fabric isn't breathable, it's polyester, you are going to get some form of condensation build up at the start and end of the season. So the roof liner just gives you that ability to clip in a cotton sheet that's going to catch all that condensation, and it means it's going to add to the lifespan of the roof fabric to your awning. Really popular addition. While we're on that area, let's talk about the sort of air beam system a little bit more. So we noted from the front, you obviously pump it up from the front, but you've also got these isolation taps dotted around the interior. So that means in very unlikely circumstance, you notice the pressure maybe is dropping from one of these beams here. It's simply a case of isolating the air away from that. The whole awning stays pitched. It's not going to ruin your holiday. And then it's very much like a bike tyre. It's zipping it out and replacing the bladder. Very quick and easy. And it means that the awning's going to stay fully inflated. So really clever sort of design feature from Dometic there. Now let's talk about some other sort of additions and accessories to the inside of your awning. So underfoot, very important that we get that homely feel in the awning, that we get that crossover from the interior of the caravan into your awning. So you can put a footprint down first that's made to measure for this floor plan. That again prevents any water vapor coming up from the dew on the grass, stops that condensation, and also gives you a fully waterproof lining underfoot. On top of that, you can then add the Continental carpet. Again, really nice soft cushion carpet, available for all the Rally Tour sizes, and you can get that from an underfloor perspective as well. Another key aspect is how you can customize the front panel. So Dometic produce a mesh panel set for every model in the range, and that means you can zip out the front panels entirely, zip in the full mesh panels, and that gives you maximum ventilation. While we're on the topic of ventilation, you can also see from the interior, guys, as we mentioned before, the apex ventilation. So you've got apex vents there, along with a huge amount of ventilation on the side panel. So if you rolled the window back here and the fabric on the doorway, you would have a full span of mesh there. So really, really important on a polyester awning that we get all that airflow coming in. So hopefully that's summed up the interior now, guys. We're going to jump back round to the front and just sum up this Rally Tour model. So much like a fine wine, the Rally Air model just keeps getting better and better. It's a tried and tested design with this great single point inflation air system from Dometic, a lovely refresh to the fabric under this new Tour collection. And you've got the 4 different widths as well, from 200 all the way up to 390. So it's definitely a model for you, for your caravan or motorhome. So this Rally Air Tour sits within the new Tour collection from Dometic. We've got full review videos on all the other models in this new Tour range. And there'll also be a big feature in the showroom here at Purely Outdoors. So thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions, drop them below. See you next time.